is Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
It's Top Hit Tuesday, everybody. Good evening and welcome to your favorite sports show, ZiFM Sport, on your favorite station, ZiFM Stereo, my station, your station. This is a show that's not just about sport. We're prime time entertainment. And why is that? That's because of our musical interludes, our power play up top, and our play of the day, which comes smack bang in the middle of the show. But the highlight definitely is the top stories coming out of the world of sport, presented to you by a top team. That team is Chris Midzi, Barry Menandia, producer Sean Tafirinyika, and my name is Mike Madonna. What can you look forward to on today's edition of ZiFM Sport? Well, wickets fell for fun on day one of Zimbabwe's return to international cricket, not on home soil, but out in the United Arab Emirates. Zimbabwe bowling out Afghanistan for 131 and then themselves losing 5 wickets in reply, meaning that a total of 16 wickets fell on day one. That is the story that leads the show today, and we'll be picking it apart for you here on ZiFM Sport. We also have international sport. And today being a Tuesday, we have our staple, the Formula One report, and Ferrari are beginning to believe again. And they say that they have recovered quite a lot of speed with their 2021 car as the Formula One giants, the Scuderia, bid to bounce back from their worst season last time out. But they've stressed that it is unrealistic for their drivers to be fighting at the front again this season.
That's our Formula One report. It's brought to you by Zamoka, and it will proceed around the world in 60. We take off in New Zealand, where All Blacks halfback Aaron Smith has re-signed with New Zealand Rugby through to 2023. That's the 2023 World Cup, which will take place, of course, in France. In the Netherlands, Andy Murray says he feels like he is playing for his career every time he steps on the court, after earning a first tour level win since August last year. And in the United States, James Harden's 7th triple-double of the season inspired the Brooklyn Nets to victory over the San Antonio Spurs, while the Utah Jazz slipped to a 3rd defeat in 6 games.
In the second half of the show, as usual, is the beautiful game. And today, kickoff is on the continent, where Kaizer Chiefs head coach Gavin Hunt will be glad to see the back of February after the ailing club finished the month without winning a single match in all competitions on Sunday. And being a Tuesday, we're going to dip into France, where captain Jose Font secured a point for Lille with a thumping late header in a 1-1 home draw with Strasbourg to ensure his side stayed top of Ligue 1. In the Premier League, Everton manager Carlo Ancelotti hopes last night's 1-0 win over Southampton acts as a springboard in their bid to bring Champions League football to Goodison Park next season. And we're going to have some updates for you from Germany, Italy, and Spain.
It's Top Hit Tuesday, and our power play today is from WizKid. It's featuring Burna Boy. It's called Ginger, and back in younger playing days, Ginger meant you were up for it. I'll tell you what, the ZiFM Sport team is certainly up for it.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Don't forget, we love to keep it interactive right here on ZiFM Sport. Get in touch with us and let's talk sport at Chris Midzi, at Barry Menandi, at Sean Tafirinyika, at Gazaman14 for Alois Bunjira, who's our football pundit. And you can find me at Mike Madoda. Now, cricket is front and center because the Chevrons are in action. Test match action, this time out in Abu Dhabi, and the Chevrons Quicks made the most of seamer-friendly conditions to dismiss Afghanistan for just 131 as Zimbabwe closed play with a 2-run lead at stumps on a green-tinged surface with movement through the air and off the seam and extra bounce for the extra tall Blessing Muzarabani. Zimbabwe's seamers took 8 of Afghanistan's test 10 wickets, and of course, very impressive performance by Zimbabwe. Like we said, the Afghanistan team bowled out for 131. Their best performer with the bat was Afsa Zazai with 37. Then the pick of the bowlers, Muzarabani for Zimbabwe, 4 for 48, ably supported by fellow seamer Victor Nyauchi, who got 3 for 34. In reply, Zimbabwe at stumps were 133 for 5. Sean Williams 54 not out. Sikandar Raza made a very brisk 43 before he went out with just a couple of overs remaining in the day's play. And then Amir Hamza was the pick of the bowlers for Afghanistan, spinning a web around Zimbabwe's top order as he snared 4 for 61. Zimbabwe leading by 2 runs with 5 wickets in hand, heading into day 2 tomorrow morning. Barry, you've got to say that Zimbabwe, brilliant with the ball, and that's what will stop the conversation, because the batting effort left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, so I'm going to stick to the bowling effort, which makes it a very positive spin on the basis that I think Zimbabwe's application with the ball was fantastic. We always said that we were excited to see Blessing Muzarabani in the side. It was going to be great to see him, depending on what wicket was prepared, as it was, as you pointed out. There was a green-tinged surface. Gave a lot of purchase to our seamer, frontline seamer and strike bowler Blessing Muzarabani, and for his efforts, claiming 4 for 48. So I think that all you can do is deliver upon the role that you're given in the team, and Blessing Muzarabani certainly did that. He was ably supported by Victor Nyauchi, who took his 3 wickets for a paltry 34. I think good numbers all round by Zimbabwe. I think the selection of seamers, a seam attack by Zimbabwe is a good option to go with. I was a little miffed or confused as to why Afghanistan only selected 1 seam bowler and went with 3 spinners in their attack. At the end of the day, for them to take 5 wickets on the initial day, I think they've been justified somewhat for choosing those spinners, because they also got a better purchase out of that pitch.
Well, with Afghanistan teetering, Chris, 131 all out, everyone thought it was advantage Zimbabwe, and that Zimbabwe in a very strong position, but it's not as strong that position as we would want it to be at the end of day 1, though. Even though we have passed the score by 2 runs, Zimbabwe lost 5 wickets, and at one point we were actually 38 for 4, and so the spinners, especially Hamza, did trouble our batsmen, and once again the batsmen at the top of the order failing.
Yeah, we've seen this before, where our batsmen at the top of the order don't necessarily do what we need them to. They don't pick up as many runs as they should. And it was only our experienced campaigners, Sean Williams, Sikandar Raza, coming in and almost saving the day, as it were, that 54 and the 43 as well. One would expect a little bit better from Zimbabwe, and were it not for those 2 batsmen, I think Zimbabwe would be in a bit of a dire position at the moment, leading by 2 runs, given Pakistan's score, which was relatively surprising for them. Their lowest test score is 103, so it wasn't as low. But for Afghanistan, who can reach a total of over 300, and when they do, those are the test wins that they managed to get against Bangladesh and Ireland. From a team like that, you would expect better, and as a result, Zimbabwe should have done better as well.
Zimbabwe certainly should have done better with the bat, but the experience of Sean Williams, who's on 54 not out, and Sikandar Raza who made a brisk 43, saved the day in that 71-run partnership. But that top order will be a cause of concern. Kasuza went out without scoring with just 5 runs on the board. Mashaura made 15, Musakanda 7, as the top order failed to a trial by spin to leave Zimbabwe at 1 point 38 for 3, which soon became 38 for 4 after the debutant and the highly rated Wesley Madevere bagged a golden duck. Barry, this will be a disappointing start to his test career.
Yeah, sad. But what I'm happy about is that now his character is going to be tested. So if and I fully expect Zimbabwe to bat twice, and he gets another stab in the second innings, he's got to then show that he's got the character to bounce back from a setback like this, because he's been highly rated coming into this. We know he's got the technique. We know he's got the talent. We know that he's got the ability. He now needs to get it into his head and focus on what he can deliver and absolutely do it. So now his character's tested. We're going to see what he's got in between his ears. So that's the positive for me, that he came out for a golden duck. It's going to be good for him in the long run if he's a person of strong character. I fully believe that he is.
Barry choosing to put a positive spin, pardon the pun, on Madevere's failures on day one, Chris. And he talks about it being a test of his character and his mental fortitude. And you've got to say that the same applies really for the entire Zimbabwe team, because in a low-scoring test match, it's really about what's between your ears. And it will be more than Madevere who's tested. The leaders in the team, the likes of Sean Williams, Sikandar Razabat, those top the batsmen that we talked about, Chris, that have failed, Kasuza, Mashaure, Musakanda, they need to also perform if Zimbabwe is to win this one, because as long as it's a low-scoring affair, Afghanistan will always feel that they are one big performance away from catching up with Zimbabwe and winning this game.
Yeah, for as long as it's a low-scoring affair, we're probably going to see the resurgence of Afghanistan and them putting up bigger numbers on the board. So what we need from Zimbabwe is for all the players, whether it's the inexperienced campaigners, to do something, put something up. Your experienced campaigners have shown, of course, that they're ready to pick it up and take responsibility, as it were. But we need the full team to be putting up the performances for Zim.
Barry, does it concern you that Hamza was able to do as much damage as he did? On day one, we saw him take the ball, and his very first ball, it had bounced, it had turned. And it's not surprising that he picked up 4 wickets, and this is on day one. Does it concern you that perhaps, with Zimbabwe batting in the second innings, and Zimbabwe is going to be, of course, batting in the 4th innings of this test match, does it concern you that, he was already getting that sort of purchase this early on?
It does concern me, and I think the batting coach has got quite a bit of work to do in terms of just reinstilling the basics, because I think the application of our top order was a little bit wrong, especially on a turning track like that. I don't think they expected him to get as much purchase as he got. At some stages, he was nearly getting that thing to turn right angles. So they will need to apply themselves and do the basics right, first and foremost, before they start to try and counterattack. I think they went out and they thought to themselves, look, we got them out for a poultry total. Let's go out and make a big score and make sure that we close this one out quickly. That was the wrong attitude. They should have gone out, done the basics first, and then built themselves and worked into the game. They didn't do that, and hopefully the batting coach can get in and amongst them and make sure that they do that in the second innings.
Absolutely. And of course, there's just a couple of comments coming in. This is Mutelela Haynes says that day 2 will be massive. Let's hope 2 at the crease can go out and post centuries. And of course, he's talking about the captain, Sean Williams, who's 54 not out, and Ryan Burl, who's 8 not out. Those, of course, with a bit of experience. We talk about experience, but Zimbabwe's experience is relative, because Sean Williams, I think he's only played in about 12 test matches, so we don't have much in terms of experience, but it's a bit more than Afghanistan has got. Aaron Mkhitaryan, he calls himself, or at Ngaralax. Good going by Williams. A double ton and a ton for Burley on day 2 is what the doctor ordered. And so it looks like everything is resting on the performances of Sean Williams and Ryan Burl as we head into day 2. Zimbabwe with a slight advantage, 2 runs and 5 wickets in the bag.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z.
Right, let's give you a local sports news roundup, starting with athletics, where Zimbabwe's United States-based star triple jumper Chengetai Du Mapaya once again stole the limelight during the Big 12 Indoor Championship at Texas Tech's Sports Center at the weekend. He overshadowed his fellow Texas Christian University athletes when he picked up another gold medal. According to reports from Lubbock in Texas, Mapaya won his second Big 12 Indoor Triple Jump Championship on Saturday. On to boxing news, where Tinashe chairman Madziwana says he will not lose hope after his 8th-round knockout defeat to Namibia's Nathaniel Kakololo in their ABU Africa featherweight bout in Windhoek on Saturday. It was Madziwana's first fight since May 2019, and the boxer pushed hard in the opening rounds and actually led on the scorecard before a mistake sealed his fate. The national champion had set his sights on gaining a WBC ranking and a shot at the board's bronze belt, which comes with winning the ABU Africa title. Wrap it up with rugby news, where Highlanders Rugby Football Club received food parcels and a playing kit sourced by former players based in the United Kingdom. The UK chapter of the Highlanders Rugby Old Boys Association sourced food hampers that were handed over to 25 players at Hartsfield Rugby Ground. The chairperson of Highlanders Rugby Football Club, Tulani Tabulawa, thanked the Old Boys for their donation. That donation leading us into our Formula One report, which comes up next.
Hi, this is Mike Madod, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZFM. We are Z-Team on ZFM Sport.
Z International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. Z.
All right, time for our Formula One report proper, where Ferrari believe they have, quote, recovered quite a lot of speed with their new 2021 car as the Formula One giants bid to bounce back from one of their worst seasons, but have stressed it is unrealistic to expect Charles Leclerc and new signing Carlos Sainz to be fighting at the front again this year. The Scuderia officially got their 2021 season up and running last Friday with a team launch from Maranello. Chris had a wretched season last season, and look, it's almost as if things conspired against them. They didn't have a great car, but also Sebastian Vettel probably had his worst season in Formula One as well.
Yeah, like you said, everything looks like it was conspiring against them. And what doesn't help is that there are a few changes to the regulations this year, and that makes it difficult for a team to drastically change their fortunes from what was going on in the last season. So it's the same for Ferrari. And you can tell from what Binotto is saying that it's not necessarily that they have a fantastic vehicle this time and they are able to go full throttle. What they've managed to do is change what they deemed as their biggest weaknesses in 2020, that's possibly the driver as well as certain aspects of the vehicle. So it's still not going to be top-notch Ferrari, but definitely I think we can expect significant improvements from where they finished last season.
What we can say of Ferrari, if they get a half-decent car, they've got some quality in those seats, don't they, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. Two promising young drivers. We saw what Charles Leclerc was able to do, even with that vehicle, which was not up to scratch last season. He was competitive in some races and was actually putting pressure on the top drivers that were involved in the race for the championship. Eventually, of course, Lewis Hamilton winning it at a canter. So he's very promising. He's the one, I think, who sort of like occupy the number one seat for Ferrari. But Carlos Sainz himself is no pushover. He'll be happy to be driving for the marquee team in Formula One. You know, let's not forget that Ferrari is the Real Madrid of Formula One. You know, they are the biggest team out there. So he'll be happy and he'll be reveling with the fact that he's driving for Ferrari, and that could just spur him to better performances. But we know that in Formula One, it's not about your skill as a driver. It's not about your talent as a driver. You have to get the balance correct between your ability, the car you are driving, as well as the paddock. The strategy will be key.
And it's that balance that Ferrari is working towards, although they are quick to stress that it is a work in progress. It's unrealistic to expect that their prospects will dramatically change in 2021, but certainly we will see an improvement. Hopefully, they'll be able to loosen those shackles of them performing in midfield. I certainly believe, as a Ferrari fan, that's not where they ought to be.
Hi, I'm Trevor Nyakani, the Blue Bulls and Springbok prop, and now you're listening to ZFM Sports.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in New Zealand, where All Blacks halfback Aaron Smith has re-signed with New Zealand Rugby through to the 2023 World Cup in France. Smith, the most capped New Zealand scrum half of all time with 97 test appearances, will also remain with his longtime provincial side, Otago Highlanders, as part of his extension. We'll head over to the Netherlands, where Andy Murray says he feels like he's playing for his career every time he steps on the court after earning a first tour level win since August last year. Murray produced a gritty fight back to beat Dutch wildcard Robin Haas 2-6, 7-6, 6-3 at the Rotterdam Open. Former world number one Murray is now ranked 123rd after returning from a serious hip injury, which left him fearing his career was over. And we'll touch down in the United States, where James Harden's 7th triple-double of the season inspired Brooklyn Nets to a victory over San Antonio Spurs, while the Utah Jazz slipped to a third defeat in 6 games. Harden warmed up for his return to Houston on Wednesday night with 30 points, 15 assists and 14 rebounds as the Brooklyn Nets beat the San Antonio Spurs 124-113 in overtime.
Hi, I'm Vario's coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference. Z. The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. The beating drum. The roaring fans. Take a ride on the wild side with the Africa Report on ZiFM Sport.
The beautiful game this evening kicking off in Mzansi, South Africa. Kaizer Chiefs coach Gavin Hunt will be glad to see the back of February after the A-Ling club finished the month without winning a single match in all competitions on Sunday. Chiefs are in the midst of a lean spell, and their misery continued when they were handed an embarrassing 4-0 defeat by Morocco side Wydad Casablanca in a tense Champions League group match in Burkina Faso. It's described as tense, but in the end, the scoreline was overwhelming, 4-0 in favor of the Morocco side. It's fair to say that, Alois, that when you take a look at Kaizer Chiefs, a side that's struggling in their own local league, there was no way they were going to make an impression in Africa.
Of course, Mike. When you look at them now in the South African Premiership, they are really struggling. They are losing to small teams in South Africa. They are struggling against small teams, and now you pit them against Wydad Casablanca. This is one of the giants of African football. So you can imagine. I'm not surprised that they lost. I don't know how it was tense, but when somebody is losing 4-0, probably it was off the field. Maybe it was tense off the field, but definitely not on the field. 4-0 is actually a walloping, and I think it's deserving. You know, sometimes we are told we don't want football to lie to us. When you are not doing well, you must lose, so that people can actually see that you are not doing well, so that you can correct your mistakes, so that you can improve. They are not doing well in the South African Premiership. There's no way they can do well in the CAF competition.
Well, let's take a look at the recent results. That is Kaizer Chiefs, a draw with Baroka, 1-1, lost to Orlando Pirates in the Soweto Derby, then lost to AmaZulu. Then, of course, it's being coached by Benny McCarthy, 2-1, drew with SuperSport, 1-1. So, Barry, these results, surely a damning indictment on Gavin Hunt. And if you take a look at the social media chatter, and the stuff that's coming out of fans of Kaizer Chiefs in South Africa, you know, people are becoming disenchanted with Gavin Hunt.
They certainly are, and with absolute justification, because in truth there's nothing that justifies these results. Fine, there's a transfer ban on, but you've got to make it work. You've got to see what pieces you've got available to you and still be there or thereabouts. Kaizer Chiefs still has, even though the transfer ban is on, still has possibly maybe a top 8 roster in terms of playing staff. So their form doesn't reflect that whatsoever. The patchy form, the results you've just run through, there's no justification for it. And I think that it takes a big man to admit that you've made a mistake. And I think Bobby Motaung and indeed the hierarchy at Kaizer Chiefs, this is the time for them to put their hand up and say that we made a mistake. Gavin Hunt is not the right fit for this team, especially where the team is now, and look for a new solution.
Well, Barry speaking very passionately there as a fan of the Amakosi. What happened to the hashtags bring back the glory, blah, 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 blah. It's no longer happening. Now, Chris, the elephant in the room. Itumeleng Khune, there was a time when he was an outstanding goalkeeper. There was a time that he was undoubtedly South Africa's Muzansi's number one. But if you take a look at that performance versus Huidad, listen, enough mistakes from Itumeleng Khune. Is it time now that Kaizer Chiefs call time on his career at the Amakosi?
It's been time, Mike. The decision to let Khune go should have been made a long time ago, because what you have now is Khune going into a match and being outplayed. We saw it particularly against Wydad Casablanca, but it's been happening match after match after match, and it's something that they need to change. They need to change the man in that position very quickly, and it's not like they're particularly short on resources. I think that anything right now might be better than Khune.
Anything might be better than Khune. A damning indictment from Chris, but it's one that I won't disagree with. Now, let's take the discussion, guys, to the continent, because we know that there is a huge election coming up. We're not talking politics here, but we're talking football politics. And of course, Patrice Motsepe, representing COSAFA, has put his hand up to say that he wants to be the man at the helm of CAF. But there are rumors that are going around that it's actually done and dusted. Patrice Motsepe will be the new president of CAF. Why? Because a deal has been made with his competitors, Ahmed Yaya, Augustine Sengo, and Suleiman Waberi, to be his vice presidents, which will see Patrice Motsepe taking over from Ahmed. Alois, good move. This
good move. I don't know whether whatever happened behind the scenes. I'm not worried about it. All I want to see is to see Patrice Motsepe going on to be the president of the Confederation of African Football, because I believe in this man, Mike. To be honest, this man is passionate about football. He loves football. How he revived Sundowns. When he arrived at Sundowns, the team was like a dying big man, and he resuscitated them, and now they are one of the biggest clubs in Africa. And when you go to Chlorocop and see what he has done for Sundowns, and when you go down through his history as a young boy supporting Sundowns, he went through the ranks of even supporters committees, in the club. So you can actually tell that's how passionate this man is, and he loves good things. And the man who loves good things in football can only bring in improvements in football.
Now, Barry, there are rumors, of course, that the man who's pulling all the strings and the man who made all this happen is Gianni Infantino, the president of FIFA. Now, why would he have done this? Why would he have come up with this arrangement, this sort of arrangement, which basically means that elective Congress is, a coronation? Yeah. Instead of an actual election.
Dead rubber, to borrow the tennis phrase, as it were, because in truth, yes, I agree that if there is sort of thinking that Gianni Infantino is behind this, I wouldn't dispute that. It's in his interest, Mike, to ensure that Africa is strong. Africa feels like it's being prioritized. Africa has the right individuals in the right places because of Africa's impact at FIFA. You win CAF, you all but guarantee your presidency at FIFA. So I think Gianni Infantino is looking at it and saying, I want a strong man next to me as FIFA vice president, but I want somebody handling business on the continent through whom we can channel funds and improve the game on the continent and make sure that I get a lot more terms as FIFA president.
All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back here's Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudent. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
Let's go to England. There was action last night. Now Everton manager Carlo Ancelotti hopes last night's 1-0 win over Southampton acts as a springboard in their bid to bring Champions League football to Goodison Park next season. Richarlison scored for the third successive match inside the first 10 minutes to move Carlo Ancelotti's side within 2 points of fourth placed West Ham with a match in hand. Let's hear from Carlo Ancelotti.
to fight for the European places, we need to improve the home run. That was not good. I think that this performance, this victory, can help us to have a better run at home.
You're fighting for European places. Which European places? Are you potentially fighting for the top 4?
It will be, as I said, it will be a dream to be in the top 4 at the end of the season. It's a dream.
You got to say to yourself that, Alois, any time that Everton went ahead, it was going to be tough for Southampton to get back into it, because the one thing he's brought to Everton is a bit of defensive solidity.
Yeah, they look solid. You know, what I like about Everton right now is the structure, you know, the tactical awareness of the players. That's when you see how good a coach is. When you see the team is playing, it's not about individual brilliance or anything. You see the way the team moves. When the team loses the ball, how they come back. That is what he has brought to Everton. He has brought in discipline. That's the number one way. He has brought in discipline when they play. You can actually see they are standing. It's not easy to penetrate Everton when they play. And when they decide to defend, I remember when they played against Liverpool, they just decided, we are now going to defend. We don't need to attack. We're not. You could see the discipline in the way they defended. They didn't care about the ball. They cared about standing in the correct position. That's how good he is. They are very solid in defense. And they are now lucky that they've got players that can also score. You give them a chance, they will score. So they are in a good state, and I think that they have improved vastly, and they can still fight for a top 4 finish.
A top 4 finish is what they would want and what they would love. They've got some stiff competition this season, though, Chris, for that number 4 slot, because a number of teams are all eyeing that position.
Yeah, they're going to have a good run for their money. If you take a look at the teams that are not Manchester City, let me just put it that way. So Manchester United, Leicester, West Ham, Chelsea, Liverpool, Everton, Tottenham even. Those are all teams that still have a chance to fight for those top 4 positions. So it's going to be an interesting run. But if Everton use this, like he said, as a springboard and continue on this trajectory, they definitely have a good chance. It's just stiff competition because these teams are right on top of each other in terms of their points haul.
They really are, and that top 4 football is what everyone's fighting for, isn't it, Mike? Because Man City, and we'll talk about them in a minute or two, have far and away run away with this league campaign. Now it's a question of sorting out the shuffling in those 4 positions.
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. And it'll come down for me to one thing, your ability to pick up points against your fellow contenders. And with all due respect to Everton and the great work that Carlo Ancelotti is doing, I think that's where they'll fall short. Because Everton will be found wanting when they play your Man Cities, when they play your Manchester Uniteds, when they play your Chelseas. Because for this race, if you notice that the period that we're going into over the next 4 weeks is a period when those teams are actually playing against each other. And it's the outcome of those matches that will decide where those teams will eventually end up at the end of the season. So they need to have a bit more quality. Carlo Ancelotti tactically on point. He's organized his team very well. But I think in the next transfer window and the one following that, the Everton board has got to back him so that he brings in quality players like he did this past transfer window when he brought in the likes of James Rodriguez. He's got to bring in players of that nature who will be able to win in matches in the big games.
So that's a chasing pack, but the team that they are chasing is Manchester City. They're in action tonight, and Pep Guardiola believes that they're entering a critical 10-day period as they close in on a second Premier League title in 3 seasons. They're unbeaten in their last 27 games in all comps, and will look to extend their record-winning run to 21 matches when they host Wolves tonight. Let's hear from Pep Guardiola.
We are delighted what we have done so far, so we cannot deny it. So if no team had done before, so it means how difficult it is. So we are so happy. Yeah, we cannot deny it. But at the end, what counts in the world is if you lift the trophies or not. We are in one final. We are in good position in the Premier League. We are in quarterfinals for the FA Cup. We are in the first leg still for around the last 16 in Champions League. So we are in all contention. That is good. But still, so we cannot sit down on the sofa and say, oh, how good is everything. So a lot of work, a lot of job to do. And I have signals that still we can improve.
It's ridiculous, isn't it, Alois, that they could potentially, after tonight, have won 21 matches in the league. It's unheard of. But in truth, knowing Pep, we can understand.
It is. For me, I think they are going to have their 21st win tonight, because I look at Wolves, I look at Man City, the way they are playing. They are a machine, baby. And you know what surprises me is Pep Guardiola. You see how he throws his toys, how he is not entirely happy even after a win. You remember when they beat West Ham, he was not even happy. That's how he loves winning. So I don't see them being stopped by Wolves. Now they've got De Bruyne back, they've got Gundogan playing, they've got Aguero back in the team. And I was laughing at Peter Drury when he was saying that this is the first time De Bruyne and Aguero are playing in the first team for the first time together in a year. And this is actually unfortunate for West Ham. He was actually feeling sorry for West Ham that this team is actually improving as they keep winning. They keep on improving. It's actually something else, baby.
Well, Pep Guardiola is never satisfied, and I think earlier this week he was asked whether Man City is the best team in the world at the moment, and he deflected and said, no, that team is actually Bayern Munich. Let's see how it rolls out tonight when they take on Wolves.
Neymar, Mbappé, Dibaye, and now Tino Kadewere enjoys a taste of the French football on a ZiFM Sport.
It's a Tuesday, so as usual, we'll take a peek into France, taking a look at what's going on in Ligue 1, where Captain Jose Font secured a point for Lille with a thumping late header in a 1-1 home draw with Strasbourg to ensure his side stayed on top of Ligue 1. Lille's 2 points ahead of defending champion Paris Saint-Germain and 3 ahead of third place Lyon, which drew 1-1 at Marseille in Sunday's late game. Alois, Ligue 1 is looking pretty interesting at the moment. Those top 3 teams, Lille, PSG, Lyon, they've had a bit of a shaky season, but Paris Saint-Germain are still well within their rights to claim the season like they usually do.
Yeah, they will definitely. I think that they just hit a bad patch right now, and I'm sure that they will eventually be the winners, because they are top class. They have got the best players in the league, and they are the best team in the league. They are doing well in the Champions League, but they're faltering in the French league, where the competition is not as tough. So you can actually see probably about attitude and the way they are going about their business in the French League 1. I think when they put their minds together, they will still manage to win, and I see them winning the league championship. But well done to Leo as well. They've kept up. They've put on the pressure and they keep on doing it. I think we should actually congratulate them for going this far. But eventually, I think PSG are going to win the league.
Paris Saint-Germain likely to claim their title as usual, but it is coming to an interesting end. We have 2 players out in France. Tino Kadewere, he started for Olympique Lyon in their 1-1 stalemate with Marseille, and Marshall Munetsi, he was an unused substitute in Stade de Reims' 0-0 draw with Montpellier.
The league that makes football oh so beautiful, where artistry and strokes of genius are the order of any day, where the game is played with a smile and the little master creates his magic. All the news from the Spanish La Liga on ZiFM Sport.
Right, a quick wrap of the rest of Europe, starting with Spain, where Real Madrid coach Zinedine Zidane says that his side did not view last night's 1-0 draw at home to Real Sociedad as a missed opportunity to get back into the title race, and called for calm ahead of next Sunday's clash at leaders Atletico Madrid. Well, it's fighting talk, isn't it, Barry? But the truth is, Real Madrid are massively underperforming this season. I mean, just to think, they're level on points with the Barcelona, who are having their worst season in a generation.
Yeah, some have said that a Barcelona side in crisis, and so in truth, if this was normal vintage Real Madrid, then Real Madrid would far and away have at least a 10-point cushion on both Atletico and Barcelona. But just testament to the fact that Real Madrid is having a wretched time of it is the fact that they're level on points with that Barcelona in crisis.
Is it a simple case here when you take a look at Real Madrid, Alois? Every football project reaches the end of its tenure. If you take a look at players like Toni Kroos, players like Modric, Sergio Ramos, Rafael Varane, Casemiro, they've been there for a long time. Perhaps the motivation is now lacking. Perhaps they need new players to freshen up the squad.
Yeah, they really do. They need to freshen up the squad, Mike. When you look at the players that are still there, that have been there for a long time, I think it's high time now. You know, Real Madrid has always operated as the Galacticos. There's no Galacticos like that at the moment. They need to go back to that. Either they do that or they do development proper. They can't stand in between. So I don't know where exactly what exactly they are doing, development or Galacticos. So they need to make up their mind and do the right thing to.
Well, Real Madrid with their work cut out if they're to remain in the hunt for a title in Spain. Action in Germany, Borussia Mönchengladbach and Dortmund go head-to-head tonight for a place in the DFB Pokal semi-finals. And over in Italy, Juventus will host overachieving Spezia tonight, sorely in need of maximum points to stay in contention for a 10th consecutive title. In the other match, it will be Lazio taking on Torino.
We're out of time. We gotta go. We'll catch you tomorrow. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.